really, we want everyone to just jump in and talk. So feel free to interrupt at any point. Really, the idea of this lesson, I think it'll probably be about an hour, maybe a little bit short of an hour, is we're going to be doing a couple different things. We want to give some of the basic principles of photography, the techniques, what to consider in terms of like technically approaching how to photograph. But more important than that, this photography contest is really trying to draw out the artist in each of us, right? So we're really looking to help you all move into a space of creativity, so that you can go out and capture images that have significance for you. And, photography, one of the ways that we use photography is to document, but obviously, like, there's so many ways that we can express ourselves through the types of images that we choose to shoot, the way that our eye sees. I'm always talking about my wife has this like artistic ability that I'm very jealous of. And like if we shoot the same subject with cameras, hers always has something to it that is just like expresses who she is so beautifully. And we really want you all to be like leaning into this photography contest as a way for you to express things that are important to you through the language of photography, because photography and film is a universal language that can transcend culture. It can transcend the actual languages that we all speak. So that's why we're really here, to really, unite around this amazing artistic medium. Um, so Naomi, if you want to, maybe do you want to say anything about the contest before we get into the lesson, or should we just?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are more than welcome to learn more about the contest by going to myface through mylens.fundraise.org. I also will send a link to everyone's email with this presentation after the call today, so you guys can refer back to this and have your notes. The submission process opens September 1st. So get ready for that, and it closes September 30th. So you have 1 month to submit your entry. There's 3 prompts, and you can send in 3 pictures. And with each photo, you have to write a little blurb or explain how this ties into the prompt. And when you submit, also tell us a little bit about yourself. But that's basically the gist. And I forgot, we're having a gallery party in New York, November 1st to commemorate, and we're gonna develop the winners' pictures. So it's gonna be really exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions about the contest? Or any other questions before we jump into the talk? No questions? Okay,
Fabulous.
great. So let's pull up the first slide. I want everyone to just take 20 seconds, look at this photograph, study it, and um, tell me 2 things. Maybe you can write it down on a piece of paper. Tell me the feelings that you're getting from this photograph, and then look at the different elements, the photographic elements that the artist used in capturing this image, and tell me what you think those are. So take 20 seconds. Is that big enough for everyone? Can everyone see that clearly on the screen? Christine's having a hard time hearing me too. Is it anyone else having a hard time hearing me? No? Okay, Christine, we'll do our best to help. Naomi, do you have any
Maybe
ideas on?
let me see if I can turn on closed captioning really quick. Sorry, guys.
They're on. So
Oh, they're on? Okay, then never mind.
closed captioning is on. It just needs to be enabled on your device. So Christine and all the others that may indulge, in that there's a CC button at the bottom and along the bottom of the window, and I've clicked that and I chose my language, and here I am.
Awesome.
You are. Yeah. Does anyone want to share some elements that stand out that maybe contribute as to why this photo might be a good photo?
And we can call on folks too, if that is helpful.
Yeah, but we want
Mm,
no one gets in trouble. There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer.
I
Aaron,
guess.
oh yeah,
Oh,
it did.
sorry. I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, I guess the lighting is behind the person taking the photo, so there's no glare or anything in the frame.
Okay, great. Definitely. There's no glare. It's a pretty even exposure.
I see kind of hints at a rule of three, meaning the rightmost section of the fence that's coming more into the foreground,
Mm-hmm.
and then where the child's hand is on the left, just like that section, and then she's in that third section of the image.
Yeah. Yep. I see. I can see that. Awesome. Aaron, do you want to chime in?
Okay. One thing I kind of noticed, and I don't know if this is an actual thing, but I've heard it from more than one person, but I've heard that whatever it is that you're trying to capture, you don't want to center it in the picture.
Right.
I don't know. So, the girl's a little off center a little bit, and it kind of pulls the background in a little more, I think.
Okay.
That's so true.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing?
How's it going? We're just looking at this photograph on the screen and we're trying to pull out the elements that are standing out to us. So one question I have for everyone, she's perched on the edge of this pool. It seems to me like she might already be in motion. Does anyone else kind of see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
What? What?
So to me,
Napkin?
it seems like the photographer was trying to
Open
capture.
the toilet when we get home.
Everyone, make sure you're
Food first.
muted.
We do
When I
have
get a chance to stop, I can open
Okay.
it.
Let me do that manually.
and so it's like the moment before she actually jumps off, right? So in order to shoot this with such clarity, because we're seeing the foreground and the background equally in the exposure. One's not blurred out, right? So we know that the person has a lot of light coming in, and they're also using a very fast shutter to capture that action. Anyone want to talk to me about the color palette that we're seeing here? There's a lot of different colors being used in this composition.
I say the colors are really vibrant and
They're very
contrasting.
Uh-huh. And if I'm not saying this correctly, Ellie, do you want to share your thoughts on this photo for us?
Yeah, my name is Eiley.
Eiley.
Yes. I
Nice
would
to meet you.
say that like the color of her like swimsuit really like contrasts with the color of the fence and everything.
Great. Nice. Cool. So we won't linger too long on this photograph, but I just wanted to we thought that this was such a beautiful image because there's so many different elements going on in this photograph, right? The subject is a young girl who looks like she's about to have a lot of fun. She's taking a leap. There's action going on. We have these different color palettes. The rule of thirds, as you were saying, Kara, is really in motion here. It's just a really beautiful example to kick off our talk on the different components that go into photography. So the number one thing that we're needing to be thinking about when we're talking about what we're going to be photographing is the exposure that we're taking, right? Like the old school film cameras actually had film, and there was a chemical substance on that film called silver halide that would respond to the amount of light that chemical was exposed to, and that would actually create the image on your film, right? That's what you would then take into the processing room to process it. And so exposure is made up of three parts. This is going to be a little bit technical. Actually, let me ask this question before we get too technical into this. Is anyone shooting on an actual camera for the contest, or will people be using their cell phones primarily?
Shooting on an actual camera.
Okay, cool. What kind of camera will you be using?
It is a Nikon DSLR. It's a 5200.
Okay. And are you a photographer already? Like, you have a lot of experience with
I have
photography?
I have experience. I don't know about a lot of
Okay.
experience.
Okay. Some of this may be redundant
I
for
am
you.
here for the refresher. I will shut up now.
No, don't shut up. Anyone else on a real camera or cell phones? Give me a raise of hands for cell phones. Cell phone? Okay. Well, we won't spend a lot of time on the super technical camera part of things. But
Although you can use some of these settings in your phone. I
okay,
have a slide on how you can apply it to your phone settings or apps you can download so you can have a kind of manual camera kind of feeling.
cool. And yeah, we'll still touch on it. I just like if I start to drone on too much about the technical stuff, just cut me off, Naomi.
I got you.
But so the three elements for exposure that we're really interested in talking about are aperture. Oh, Christine, you have your hand raised? I think you're muted. It,
You?
Naomi's trying, Christine's trying to ask
Oh
a
my
question.
goodness. I'm sorry. I didn't even have my voice on.
No,
I'm back. Sorry.
no problem.
This is my very first time and I'm new and I'm very excited to do pictures and all this. But you're saying about phone or camera, either one we can use?
Either
Yep.
one, absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. That's the question. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome.
Got it,
Okay. Thank you
Christine.
so much.
Okay, so the three elements that we're looking at for when we're talking about exposure in photography are what's called aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, right? So the aperture of a camera is the size of the hole that we can adjust on a camera in order to let light in. So when we open the aperture really wide, it's letting a lot of light in, and that changes the image that we're photographing when compared to when we close the aperture down. Everyone has have you all seen when an aperture closing on a camera, when it kind of like gets really small? It's letting less light in, and that also affects the image that's taken by doing something that's called deep focus. So when the aperture closes, we get a deep focus, which means that the foreground, middle ground, and background are clear, whereas when the aperture is wide open and a lot of light is coming in, it makes for what's called a shallow focus, right? And so, can we go back to the slide right before this one? So I wanted you all to see this image. This is an example of shallow focus, and the artist is doing this in a very special way. Can someone talk to me about this image and what they see, what's in focus, what's not in focus, and how that focus helps direct our eyes to what the photographer wants us to see? And anyone? Dan, do you want to, or Carol?
Sorry.
Dan,
No, I
go
was going to say they want you focusing. You got the beautiful horizon of the sun setting, but you could say them being in the mirror and focusing on them, just maybe focusing on the person on the moment in time instead of what's on the horizon.
Nice. Great. Anyone else?
I think the shallow focus is creating a focal point, and that is the two people, about to kiss or kissing or what have you. And that's that rear view. I'm sorry, the side mirror on the car, driver's side mirror.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite tricks, actually. I really love how it blurred out the background too a little bit.
So it seems like when I look at this image, I see two lovers who have driven to watch a sunset, and they're in nature seeing this beautiful scene, and we are getting this little glimpse into their romantic life, into a very special moment for them, right? So we get to see what part of their romance is fueled by, and we're also getting to see them at the same time, right? So it's very cool. It's telling a little story here. Naomi, do you want to take the next one?
Sure.
That'd be great.
So how would we get a photo like the one we just saw? We would pick an aperture number. So aperture is measured in f-stops, which you can see on a camera might be f1.8 or as far as f32. Aperture, like Vinny said, is that small opening when a camera kind of focuses. So the depth of field refers to how much the image is in focus from front to back. So if we see the photo of the flowers, you can see all the flowers are in focus. With the lower f-stop, only one flower is in focus. So the lower f-stop would be 1.8. So it adds a lot more light and creates a shallow depth of field where the subject is sharp, but the background is blurred. Perfect for if you want to take a dreamy portrait like this one. And a narrow aperture lets in less light and creates a deep depth of field where both the foreground and background remain sharp.
Awesome.
And you can see that through this diagram here, how the smaller the light in, the more focus images are. Also, it makes the light less. Yeah.
Right. And so, because less light is coming into the camera, we sometimes have to do different things in order to get the proper exposure, right? So less light coming in, so we have to figure out how to boost our light in some other way. So let's move on to shutter speed. Any questions on aperture? It's one of the most confusing parts of photography, and it's one of those things where, if you get out and start shooting with the camera, it's probably the best way, unless you're just like your mind works technically where you can hear something like that. But once you start doing it, it becomes very natural.
Yeah, these are just some extra examples. Give you some background.
Awesome.
Take it away.
Great. Okay, so this is an example of a fast shutter speed, right? Fast shutter speed it means that that camera's taking is the amount of light that's coming in is very quick, right? And we have to use a fast shutter speed if we want to get, if we have an object or we're photographing someone who's moving and we want to get everything really sharp. I'm sure you all have seen photographs where someone's running and it's a little bit blurry, like there's almost like traces of them as they're like running across the image. And that's from a slower shutter speed. So when we're really wanting to get things sharp and we have an object or a person moving quickly, we do a fast shutter speed. So we can move on to the next slide. And this is just a little bit of, technical stuff, but like, if you're photographing sports, you can shoot at something of like 1/1000th of a second. That's how fast your camera is working in order to get that fast, that person to be sharp in the frame. And then if you're shooting something that you don't need to, maybe you want to blur them out or they're not running, you can use a slower shutter speed, which lets more light into the image. Okay.
Mhm.
Anything that
That
you'd like to
light
add?
in the Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
How
that's
more light is let in, and there's more light leaks, so you can see that movement much more clearly than the fast shutter.
awesome.
Just another diagram.
Any questions so far on that, on shutter speed?
If I could ask you a question, when
Yeah.
you're doing if you're looking at, or you, pardon me, if you're using a traditional camera like what you do for your business and your passion, Vinny, when you're looking to purchase a camera, it's called shutter speed or it's listed as something else, just out of curiosity.
What it would actually say on the camera for like what it would like how do you know that you're dealing with shutter?
Yeah, or like shutter speed or what the shutter speed range would be on a camera.
Yeah, so normally it won't say shutter speed, but there will be somewhere on the display. Do
Mhm,
you see up at the top of this slide where
mhm.
it's like 1/1000,
Yeah,
1/2000?
the range.
You'll be able to wheel through that and you'll see what the different speeds are available.
Gotcha.
And then you have to pick which one you want to use.
Roger.
Yep. Okay.
A good way that, like, if you're trying to get when there's like more like blur images, it is if you set it to like shutter priority, or like if you want to focus on aperture, another setting could be aperture priority.
Yeah.
It's just a little easy.
Christine?
Oops. Okay. Yeah, I have Android. I don't have iPhone, but I have Android. Very good phone, but this is something new about shutter speed. Is that about blurry or is red eye or how you explain to me? Because I took a picture recently, the background with a flower. I went to a place, gorgeous, and I'm just concerned. You were saying how, the vision, not blurry or something. Can you explain to me very little bit?
Yeah, Naomi, do you want to take that one?
So there, I believe with Android phones, there is an option for shutter speed. I have a slide on that. Uh, I think that will be really helpful. But shutter speed, if you have a really fast shutter speed, so that might be like in the photo of Chicago, 1/250 of a second, you see everything is really, really crisp, right? There's not a lot of light coming in, or it's not as much as the 15-second shutter speed. In the 15-second shutter speed, we're seeing a lot of those light drifts, maybe from the street lamps or from a passing car, or the light, it's a longer exposure. I mean, a longer shutter, sorry. Does that make sense? Vinny, you want to help me?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I would just ask as we look at these two photographs side by side, tell me like what you feel when you look at the top one, which is really everything is really crisp and clear, and what the bottom one says as we see those vehicles passing by and we get to see that the lights streaking across the screen. Can Christine, can you tell me like just there's no right or wrong answer, but like what you feel as you look at those two and maybe why you would choose to shoot
Well,
one.
I take a lot of pictures myself, selfie so many times, and I don't see no red eye so far. Just worry about my red eye. But I took a very good, you know, background with flowers. That's one of my favorite. And not a very uh like my camera has a very good pictures, good view. It's just worry about the blurry, you know what I mean? Like it's not stand out, it's not too much. But I'm doing like flower background. I also did some when I went to Disney Spring, cute character, but uh what about colorful? It's not that bright colors, not too much colors.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that the what you're photographing, the colors aren't coming out well enough? They're not popping for you?
Yeah, it came out very well. It's just, how you judge, my on my picture, 'cause it's gonna be a contest. So I just wonder if, I know how blurry, red eye, but colorful, not stand out much. Should be less color, correct? Not a lot colors.
No, it could be as it's whatever feels good for you and what fe you feel connects to the prompt. So maybe
Okay.
it, like for example, one of the prompts is a place you feel safe. If a place you feel safe is the carnival, a carnival is really colorful, and that's okay with me. Maybe your a place you feel safe is the corner of your room and there's not a lot of color. That's fine too. It's all about what you like artistically and what you feel represents the prompt. Uh, I hope
And it's
that.
only one picture or two? How many pictures we
You can
take?
submit three,
Three? Okay.
up to three.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Christine.
let's move on to the next slide. And this is a black and white photo, so there's no no colors here. But w tell me like what story you're feeling is being told through this image. Anyone, and maybe someone who we haven't heard from yet. Um, Adithi, are you able to turn your mic on and just tell us what you're seeing in this photograph, if they're still there? Does anyone want to hop in and share? I really like this photo. I'm really curious what you all think.
I will.
Yeah.
So, what I see is a serene, relaxing meditation space.
Okay. Tell me why.
The water is calm, and everybody likes to play on a swing. Well, at least all the people I know like to swing, and it's fun. And just to be able to look at the clouds while you're, swinging on the swing, and then you can jump in the water. So, I mean, you got a variety of different things to do here.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm getting more of a Tim Burton vibe.
Yeah,
Okay. Chris,
very
what
moody.
tell
No,
me
well,
about that.
so for instance, the other woman said that she saw the ocean underneath. For me, I see like a cracked desert in black and white and ominous, beautiful sky, very ominous. And you have a what looks like a decayed or dying tree and a swing that can break. Yeah, very Tim Burton-y.
Okay.
I dig it.
I think black and white is very pretty, kind of like a old time history. Cause my family's Cuban, and they have a lot of black and white pictures. I mean, many, many, many years. So I think black and white is more better than colors. you know?
I like
Great.
to. I like what it's I like how it again it's slightly off center. Like the rule of thirds. I noticed
Kind of sad though. I don't
a
know.
little.
I guess.
That's what I was gonna say. It looks pretty depressing to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
And I have my own personal interpretation of this image. I won't share it with you. Um, uh, Unless Chris, you want me to share?
You're killing me, Smalls. I go out on a limb
Okay.
expressing my picture.
Okay. I'm probably more in line with where you're coming from, Chris. But I want to say like everyone's coming into this with how this image is affecting each of us a certain way, right? And so there is no really wrong interpretation here. I will say for me, and like these are the photographic elements that I would be analyzing this photograph with. It's like one, I think black and white is a bold choice that does sort of point towards the depressing nature of it. The ground is cracked. The tree is dead. It's very cloudy. It's not a clear day. And there's no person on that swing, right? So this is a swing that has seen better days because I don't even know if that branch looks very trustworthy to me.
Better. I think color is better. More colorful, more like a watercolor or a painting. I think color's better, so I'll go for it. Colors, I'll do it.
So like, as you all are thinking about what story you want to tell through the photograph that you choose or photographs that you end up shooting, you need to be thinking like, what story are you wanting us to see in this, right? Do you want us to get the sort of like, the depressing image of like a person, like there's no person on that swing. The tree's dead, the ground's cracked. Like you can be looking for the elements that you want to put into your photograph to tell your story, right? Um, so let's move on to ISO. And Naomi, I've been talking a lot. Do you want to take ISO?
Sure. So ISO is how sensitive your camera sensor is to light. I use ISO more so as like a last case scenario to lighten up my images, and you'll see why on your right. Because the higher the ISO, the more noise is going to be in a picture, which might, for some people, lower the quality. I quite like adding noise after the fact, but that is just a fun fact. So a low ISO is ideal for bright conditions. So if you're taking a picture and it's really, really sunny out and your picture is overexposed, kind of like that flower right there, you would want to go for a lower ISO. If it's really dark outside, maybe it's nighttime, you might want to raise your ISO a little bit higher. So it's a great way to uh, play with brightness without changing aperture or shutter speed.
Exactly right. And yeah, if you're wanting to shoot something like someone running, so you know that you have to have a fast shutter, which is going to let less light in, and you want to have some depth in your image so that you can't have your aperture letting a lot of light in. ISO gives you the option of getting an exposure while still having those elements of running and deep focus. So that's why it's called a triangle. You can take those three elements, ISO, aperture, and shutter, and you can use them in different combinations in order to craft an image that you want. Okay. How we doing, everyone? Everyone hanging in? Give this kind of like tell me quickly, like too technical. Is it engaging enough? Like, how are you all feeling right now? We're about the halfway point right now.
That's good. I've learned more in the last half an hour than I've learned about photography in my life. So this is great.
I think it's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. Okay, great. Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
perfect. Yep. Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you guys. So what I was alluding to before is there are some native iPhone functions that can help you kind of emulate the same effect you would with the camera. So for our iPhone users, if you've used portrait mode, that's kind of like adjusting aperture because you see you have the f-stops and you can adjust how much of the background is in focus. You can also enable your grid so you can have a better idea of rule of thirds to help take better pictures. You can also enable your photos to be taken in RAW, which allows you to play around with many more lighting and color settings for post-production without really affecting the image. Yeah. And so there are some apps that you can also try to edit your photos or play with more manual settings like a DSLR. And for Christine, we have our Android. So on Androids, it varies, but you should be able to go into the camera settings of your phone and turn it to pro or manual mode to adjust ISO, shutter speed, focus, and white balance. And same like the Apple phones, you can enable a grid for the rule of thirds, and you have night mode, portrait mode, and sometimes raw capture.
I have an iPad Apple, but it's kind of, hard to go with. But my phone, I use it a lot, pictures, and so is it the same app name, DSLR on my Android?
If you have one like that, uh, are you saying you have that downloaded or are you trying to download something new?
Well, I saved the picture and then I download it to your site. That's how I do.
Okay.
And I have a lot of apps. Sometimes they use for my Android, sometimes they use iPhone, but I have Samsung.
Oh, yeah, they have good cameras, and so you
Okay.
can adjust the mode of it, I believe. So
Okay. Right.
nice. Take it away, Vinny.
Awesome. Okay,
Thank you.
take a look at this image, and tell me now that we're talking about some of the different elements, like depth of field, and a little bit about composition. What are you seeing in this image right now? What's standing out to you? What do you think the photographer was trying to do with this image?
It seems to me that he was trying to capture how happy they are,
Okay.
focusing on that because that's kind of in the foreground with is what looks like beautiful scenery in the background, but the focus, yeah, seems to be on their smiles and happiness.
Great. There's also a little bit of they're moving, right? Which I think adds to that sense of emotion that we're getting from them. That's cool. Aaron, what else are you seeing in this image?
Yeah, I mean, it's, pretty much what Dan said, you really focus on the kids and, their smiles and, they're going, I don't know if they're going somewhere or if they just left from somewhere or, I mean, that's really what kind of draws me in, really. It's just,
And is that like a shallow depth of field that they're deploying there?
It's pretty shallow, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, because we have here a foreground, middle ground, and background.
Yeah.
And really the boys are the only ones in focus here. But it's not so shallow that, we're only seeing one of them. So the artist is making sure that there's enough depth to capture both of them, because I think they're on what's called the same plane,
Yes.
and so they're for the most part they're going to be exposed.
Yeah, it's balanced. It's balanced photo. Without able to see all three.
Right.
Almost like a rule of three in depth.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
Yep. And then just in terms of like the narrative, right? Like,
Can I go on my break?
what do you think these,
Let me
what do we know about their location, who they are, weather? What can
Looks
we,
like they're on the beach, the sand.
It's hot and
I
dusty.
don't know, sand on the bottom looks like a shat I don't know, kind of fuzzy. And then it looked like they're just running with an umbrella. You know, sometimes people try to jump and you gotta catch it, like capture the photo, and they're jumping, kind of look like it, you know.
okay, makes
That's
sense.
what I
definitely
think.
movement.
I, what are you seeing here?
Um, like, well, I'm in like Anomi film classes and stuff, so I've learned a lot of the stuff. But it kind of when filming like different shots and stuff, it kind of seems like a 3/4 shot where instead of like facing directly at the camera, they'd be like slightly to the side and they're like off center too. So rule of thirds.
Okay, great. And, oh yeah, who was gonna say something? Anyone? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to me, again, we're dealing with a black and white photo, so that's a specific choice the photographer was making. I'm guessing that they're monks or monks in training, and we're not in America. And it's probably very sunny. That's why we have umbrellas. So, you know, the artist is putting all of these elements in the frame for us to tell us a certain story to us, right? So just another example of how we can layer our composition in order to tell a story. Let's move on to the composition parts. Do you want to
Sure.
go for a little bit?
So composition is important to understand, because it's the key to a great photo. These are just some suggestions for you on how to create better images. There's no rules to art, but there is a theory to it. So this is essentially some ideas of what makes certain images better than others. So we have rule of thirds, visual weight, triangles, eye lines, and balance.
Great. Why don't you take rule of thirds too?
So you guys have mentioned rule of thirds several times, so you guys know this, but it's when the frame is divided into three equal parts horizontally and vertically, and an image looks better when the image is placed along, the subject is placed along one of those lines. It draws the viewer's attention naturally. Visual weight refers to how much a subject draws the viewer's eye in a photo. So elements with high visual weight attract attention, bright colors, contrast, size, or sharp focus. Elements with low visual weight are much less noticeable, muted, soft focus, and small in size, and you balance visual weight by arranging elements thoughtfully. And now we have regular balance. Balance is the distribution of visual weight across a photo to create a harmonious composition. There's symmetrical balance, like those buildings. You know, you split it in the middle, it looks the same on each side, which is very aesthetically pleasing to the eye and emulates a feeling of stability and formality. An asymmetrical balance uses different elements of varying visual weight to achieve a natural dynamic feel. So you can see in the second photo, there's an asymmetrical balance. You have the little bicycle, and then you have the window, different sides of the frame. And then we have triangles, which is what I noticed most about the monks in the background. The little, they're not pyramids, but
Temples?
stones. Yeah, triangles are a compositional technique where elements in the frame form a triangular shape. And this makes the eyes gravitate towards you.
Yeah, and let me just point out really quick on this last, on the bottom image, you can see the triangle that is made by the two rocks and the back wall, right? And that actually like guides our eye through the image so that we start at the beginning and it takes us all the way to the back of this canyon, right? And that's intentional. The photographer is composing the image in this way so that our eyes will naturally just kind of flow up or down that river. And this also looks like this would be an example of a slow shutter speed so that you can see that the shutter is open for so long that it actually starts to make the water like look like it's almost like a cloud or surreal kind of. So that's a cool technique that you can do when you're shooting water. Okay, we won't have to talk about puppers for too long. I just thought this was such a funny photo, but
How do you say puppers?
but we can keep moving. How's everyone doing? Good? Good? Great. Keep going. You're doing awesome. And you can keep me from talking too much.
Okay. The eye line is the imaginary line representing the direction a subject's eyes are looking, kind of similar to what Vinny was explaining with how the rocks and the canyon are guiding where your eyes are supposed to be. The same way the railroad train tracks kind of guide your eyes, or how the little boy is looking out the window or at the little ceramic rabbit. Eye lines can create connection with the viewer or direct attention to another part of the scene. So your eye might be focused on the boy, but you see his view is focused on the rabbit, so it makes you want to look at the rabbit. It can help you tell a story, establish relationships between subjects, or evoke emotion. And it is a powerful tool to add a narrative or flow to the composition of your photo.
Awesome. And before we move on to talking about lighting, I just move to the portrait if you don't mind right after this one. I just want to we're going to be talking about a lot of different lighting, some like very even lighting. Here we have light coming in only from one side. I really want you all to take a look at this image and just kind of remember it because this is a very dramatic form of lighting that you all can do if you end up whatever you end up shooting, whether it's a portrait or not. Just really be thinking about how that we can craft or pick our light source and how much that light source will end up doing a lot of the narrative work for us in our image. So you can take the lighting away too, because this is your expertise.
Awesome. Okay. Do you want to talk more about this image, or we want it
No,
ready?
we can move on.
Awesome. So lighting is a very important part of photography. It creates mood, depth, clarity, and a same subject can look completely different under a different light, or even the same light from different angles. And as a photographer, it's all about learning how to see light and control it. So light has color and it's measured in temperature, Kelvin. Warm light can feel really cozy and emotional. Cool light can sometimes feel more calm or dramatic. You might see that a lot in street photography. Mixing warm and cool tones can add interest and balance, and white balance is something you could do, whether from your phone or a camera, to do that to choose artistically whether you want the image warmer or cooler within your camera, or you can do it in post-production. Contrast is the difference between light and shadow in an image, so like the highlights and the darkest points. You see in the image uh, on the right that the depth and the darkness of the shadow can create a lot of drama and can add a lot more story, where the photo on the top is a lot softer and feels a lot more calm and gentle. So harsh light like the midday sun creates high contrast with sharp shadows. So if you've ever been outside around 1 p.m. and you don't know why your selfies aren't looking the best, it might be because that light is really hard. Soft light, large diffuse sources like cloudy skies or sheer curtains creates low contrast with gentle shadows. There's much more of a fall off here. And high contrast, like I said, can make an image feel more dramatic, intense, or bold, and low contrast tends to create calm, soft, or an approachable vibe. Like I said. Distance from light can create control. So this is how photographers also create shadows and contrast. A small light source becomes stronger and more intense when it's closer to the subject. A larger light source, maybe like a window with some curtains or a traditional softbox in photography land, a larger light source can become softer when it's closer. Shadows are harder and more defined. Highlights are brighter and can create a dramatic or high contrast effect when the light source is small and close. Farther from the subject, light spreads and becomes softer and more diffused when the light source is small. If it's larger and you pull it away, the light gets harsher and more contrast. And like I said, the direction of light is super important. If there's anything I can tell you to take away from this for selfies or just taking pictures of things, seeing how one light source can totally change the mood of a photo, very important. So for a lot of you guys, you know I take photos. So when I'm taking photos of someone's face, I might want to do something more head on or a little bit higher up because you can see in the diagram, it's a lot more flattering for taking images of makeup. But if you're trying to tell a story of maybe emotion, you might want to light it from the side where you're getting that really edgy kind of contrasty light. So yeah, front light, clear details, flat but bright. Side light adds depth and texture, and backlight creates silhouettes or glow. Or if you want to do something really spooky ooky, like when you're at a campfire and everyone's holding the flashlights below, that's also a really cool way of transforming light and using it to tell a story. So these are just some helpful suggestions on good times of day you can use natural light to help you take your images. So golden hour is a really great time. It's the hour after sunrise and before sunset, and it gives a really flattering light. The light tends to be a lot more warm, which is really pretty for capturing skin tones or things like me. Shadows are long and highlights are gentle and the colors are rich. Another great time to take photos is when the day is cloudy. It can diffuse the sunlight, creating even softer light, so you won't get as many harsh shadows. So people think more light, the better the image. Not necessarily, especially for portraits. And colors pop without glare. And yep.
Let me say one thing on that before we move on. So for those of you who end up choosing to shoot some sort of maybe object or nature for your submission, it might be interesting for you to go to the location that you want to photograph at different times of the day just to see how it looks as the sun moves across the sky, because it'll give you a drastically different look, like what Naomi was saying. If the sun is at noon, we're gonna get those really harsh, the light's directly above us, it gives us a very dramatic look. Whereas like on either end of the day, we're gonna be starting to see some of that light get soft and bend around. So what I guess my main point I'm saying is like, you don't have to go out and shoot on day one. You can really think about how you want to compose your image and the light sources that you're going to be using in order to like shoot it at multiple times of the day, and then just pick the one that you feel is most is the one that's saying what you want it to say.
Great advice. And definitely play around with angles. Like I showed you with that diagram. Turn around, maybe take your light source up or your camera up, see how that feels for you. Experiment. I think we all get stuck in what we think works for us, but definitely go crazy, go ham.
Yeah, great.
Yep. Using Windows is a really easy way to get really beautiful quality of light.
Mm-hmm. And I loved your curtain idea of using
Yes.
the curtain as a diffusion for the sunlight coming in. That's so brilliant.
Thank you. So this is a really great slide for those who want to experiment more with what they have. Uh, These are some items you might be able to find around your house. A white surface can help bounce light back into the image. When I'm taking pictures in my room, a lot of the time I have a whiteboard or a mirror underneath me, so it reflects light back into my face, and you can see a little bit of a catch light in the eye. You could see that also happening with that woman taking a portrait in the sun. That large disk is bouncing the sunlight back into the subject. So that's a really great way to make light a little bit, add more light into the image without adding an additional light source. Same with that cup. You see how the light source is coming from the right, and that white wall on the left is bouncing it right back and making it much more even, and the shadows a lot less harsh. Alternatively, if you want to make those shadows harsher, if you want to add more drama and add more depth, maybe you want to add a black piece of construction paper or a black book next to it. That's going to create some depth. So a lot of people I know will have a light coming straight forward, and maybe they want to create more depth and create more of a jawline. So they'll add two dark kind of cardboard pieces on either side. Just an idea. Colored surfaces also will give you a kind of cool effect. So maybe you want to bounce a flashlight into a piece of tin foil, or if you have a piece of colored paper or a gel that you can put. That's a really fun way to experiment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I will just sort of reiterate
Turn
the
on my
point.
voice. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Do you mean the dark background to see your face? Like
So
color paper background?
So a background is a little bit different, but does contribute to that. So if I had a dark background behind me, my face would really stand out because all around me would be darkness, right? Is that a good way to describe it, Vinny? And if I had a white background, which I do, the light that's going from in front of me bounces back behind me to the back of my head.
Yeah,
I'm trying to explain it. Um,
that's correct. That's
yeah.
right.
A little darker. It's better have a little darker and not bright color on the back, right?
Yeah, so maybe you want to experiment and have a darker background to create a moodier vibe. Or maybe you want to have a light background and something darker on the side. Or, really go crazy, experiment. So, Christine, maybe you want to take your picture if you want to do a portrait or a picture of an object. You can try it in front of a dark background, and then you can try it in front of a light background and see which one you like more, or experiment with your angles, because every angle that light is going to change because the angle of the dark object or the light object is going to shift with you.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Well, that concludes our presentation. Are there any questions about anything that we've gone over that we can maybe explain for you? Anyone?
Not at the moment. but at the 11th hour there'll be one.
I wanted to say, first off, I want to say Naomi did so much work on this presentation. It was absolutely brilliant. You did an amazing job and an amazing job teaching as well. Thank you so much for all of the expertise and care that you put into this presentation. It was great.
Thank you.
And then I'll just say, as the contest starts to take off, I'm happy. I think Naomi would be happy too. If there are questions that come up, or if you have an idea of what you want to shoot and you want to run some ideas by us on how to do it, I'm more than happy to, we can do it by email, text, or I can hop on a call or Zoom with you. I'm sure Naomi would do the same. So this is just the beginning. We want everyone to really just lean into this competition with gusto, and we're here to support you throughout the entire process. So we're available.
Thank you.
Thank you both for hosting this.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
For all of y'all answering. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was amazing.
I'm super excited to see what you all are going to create. So definitely, sign up and start shooting photos, and we'll be looking forward to getting your submissions.
All right, y'all.
Okay.
If y'all have any questions, I hope everyone has a really great night.
Have a great night. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, DeLuca.